Salutations, my name is Summer, and this is Cozy Reading with Quaker Cats. And I want to tell you guys what I've read and what I'm currently reading. And it is a wild house here today. Sylvie is behind me, Mayfair. I took the bookshelves out of the box. So, the first step of getting bookshelves put up, take them out of the box. So, that's what that mess is over there. Sylvie is wound. She is going after my feet now. Okay, so first things first. A book I was recommended by Nathan Foung. I hope I'm pronouncing your name right. Rules of Civility by Amor Towles. Not for sure. I absolutely love this book. I loved everything about it, which is funny because going into it, I thought, oh, but I loved everything about it. And actually, when I finished it, I turned around and read the beginning again, just the very beginning, because it is a full circle story. There's so many things I loved about this. One of the main things, I guess, I'm very character driven. I loved all the characters, even characters that it's like, oh, in real life, I might have trouble with this person, but in this book, all the characters worked out so perfectly together. Also, the main character is a bookworm. And there's so many books that talk about the character being a bookworm, but in this book, she lives it. You know, she goes to bed with a book. So many different books. So many books are discussed in here that I've read, that I want to read. And it's funny because at close to the end, she picks up she starts, well, a little over halfway, she starts reading Agatha Christie. And so close to the end in November, she picks up Hercule Poirot's Christmas, and she's saving it for Christmas. And I am too. I have it on my TBR shelf or case. So I love those little things where they connect to my life. Yeah, I loved all of it. I loved everything about it. So thank you so much, Nathan, for recommending this book to me. Also, I'd like to say I'm going to try to read a recommended book every month. So we'll see how that goes. Some of the books will take longer for me to read than others. And, so anyway, we'll see. That is a goal I'd like to do. Another book, I heard about Peter Swanson from, I think her name's Dina, at Books Yada Yada. I love her channel. I'll link it down below. Anyway, I wouldn't have picked this up, but she was talking about him on her channel, and I'm so glad I did because it was so much fun. It had me a little stressed out. My anxiety's been high anyway for some reason, and so this book had me stressed out. This book also, the main character, huge bookworm. Books were all mentioned all over in this story, and I love that. Absolutely love it. He also went to bed every night with a book. His were murder mysteries, so Agatha Christie again was mentioned. Yeah, this book had some things that I've read before, like I kind of was seeing certain things, and there were things that I thought were going to happen that didn't. So it did surprise me. I sometimes I hate it when it's an unreliable narrator, and other times I think it's so much fun. In this book, I went back and forth with, is this real? Is this not? Anyway, A lot of fun. 8 Perfect Murders by Peter Swanson. Another book that I read was Homebody by Rupi Kaur. I think that's how you pronounce her name. I've never read anything else by her. I've seen her other book, Milk and Honey, or something like that. But I don't know why I never picked it up. I love a certain type of poetry. And so, yeah, I'm a big homebody, and that's what attracted me to the book. And then I picked it up and I just read the very first line, and it says, I'm in the darkest room of my life. And it kind of sold me. I was like, sold. And it says, why do I let my mind get under my skin? I am so sensitive. My mind keeps running off to dark corners and coming back with reasons for why I am not enough. I have never known anything more quietly loud than anxiety. There's a couple of long ones in here too that I just. Here's one. I think it's so. I just thought it was so clever too. Okay. Most of my life has been spent with the two of us touching, skin to skin, our nights together, and sometimes our days. You carried me when my limbs refused to, when I was so sick I could not move. Not once did you tire of my weight. Not once did you complain. You've witnessed all my dreams, my sex, my writing, my weeping. Every vulnerable act of my life has been with you. The two of us knee deep in laughter, and when I've been a fool to trust a fool, made love on top of you, left for days only to return empty handed, you always took me back. When sleep abandoned me, we'd lay awake together. You are the embrace of my life, my confessional, my altar. I went from woman to girl on top of you, and in the end, it will be you, old friend, delivering me to death well rested. There is no place more intimate than a bed. I just love that. I just love that so much. You didn't lose it. Happiness has always been there. You just lost perspective. There's one more that's kind of long that I want to share with you. Because I think as a woman, most of us feel this way sometime in our life. Not everyone, but a lot of us. When I get this video done, I might have a bookshelf built. Randall might have built it and fixed it all up for me. They do try to help me, it seems like. Okay. I'm afraid I won't find the one who sees me and rushes to breathe me in. I have a fear of seeming too desperate. I'm scared I will be cheated on with a woman more brilliant, more striking, more of me in every way. Terrified this will confirm what I already know, that I am not enough for someone to stay. Where is the burning match that will set me on fire? What if I've already walked by the one on a street corner? What if I've already been with them and ruined it? Who will love me enough to spend their energy getting close to someone so inconsistent? What if the one I want is someone who touches me and leaves, and the one who doesn't leave is someone I can't stand touching me? Will it always be bad timing? Will I ever be sure? Will I settle? Will I be my will I be my own forever? I loved it. So yes, poetry, book of poetry. I felt like there were so many in here that were just powerful and that I loved. So I read this in like a day because I just could not stop. Just couldn't stop. Okay. I'm still reading Winter Dance by Gary Paulson. I am loving this. It just is very stressful because it's nonfiction. So these things are really happening, and it anything that has to do with dogs getting harmed, which is life, and especially in nature. Um, and it's not the intention of the owners. It's just running the Iditarod. I mean, that's all about survival. People die all the time running it. So I'm loving it. I'm on page 164 out of 256. So yeah, it won't take me long once I'm reading it. It's just I have to take it in in little parts. The writing's wonderful. It's a wonderful story. I love Gary Paulson. It's just I can only take a little bit at a time or I'll get like books affect me. They can affect my mood. They can lift me up, weigh me down. The ones that can weigh me down, I think, are the ones I need to read the most because it's about life and it's not always pretty, but it's important to know. So, a book that I just started, and here, like what I was just talking about, I am going to be just reading a little bit at a time. So, I just read the prologue of this last night. Our Bodies, Their Battlefields, War Through the Lives of Women by Christina Lamb. And whew, it's rough, really rough. Um, one thing I love in the prologue, it talks about the history. So it talks about how the first trial I could find was in the German town of Riach in 1474 when Sir Peter von Hagenbach, a knight working for the Duke of Burgundy, was convicted for a violation of the laws of God and man. So, which he raped and killed civilians as governor in the Upper Rhine Valley. His defense was that he was only following orders, was rejected, and he was executed. So even back in 1474, there was a trial about war and rape. And that's something that just it doesn't get talked about. It's never discussed in history books. We just pretend like it doesn't happen, even though it happens all the time. I think when I was a teenager, I read a book about rape, and it was like every 3 seconds a woman gets raped, and it's usually by someone she knows, and it's usually nothing said about it. So anyway, President Abraham Lincoln, in it says General's Orders number 100, also known as the Lieber Code, issued in 1863 for the conduct of Union soldiers in the U.S. Civil War, strictly prohibited rape under the penalty of death. Well, just reading that made me think, okay, it was issued in 1863. And we know that the Civil War started in 1861 to 1865. And I'm thinking, why did that law need to be created? It's halfway through the Civil War. It must have been a big problem for him to make it become a law. Because if it wasn't happening, you wouldn't have to, for penalty of death. So, yeah. And it talks about the First World War, Second World War, not a single prosecution for sexual violence. And talks about in 1949, the Geneva Convention. It says women shall be especially protected against any attack on their honor, in particular against rape, enforced prostitution, or any form of indecent assault. And so that was in 1949. And this is a 2020 2020 book. It's brand new. It just came out, and yeah, I remember. I don't know if anybody watched the movie In the Land of Milk and Honey. but it was, based in the 90s of Bosnia and the camps that they had with the women. Anyway, this book is going to just destroy me. I know, but it's the truth, and it's women's stories, and I feel like it's important for women to be able to have a safe space to talk about what has happened to them and try to heal from it. So you'll see that maybe again. Wintertime, I am all about fantasy because honestly, wintertime, I already have that, I get down. So anyway, a book I'm just dabbling in, Wallace Stevens. Uh, it's selected poems and there's a play in here. So yeah, I'm just dabbling in that. So one thing I was happy about, books I'm currently reading, I was thinking, okay, in December, I really need to finish War and Peace and The Magic Mountain. And I was thinking, okay, let me do the math and figure out how many pages I'll need to read a day to be able to finish it. And I thought this was so interesting. So when I did the math, I would need to read, which here's my little paper to remind me. I would need to read 22 pages of War and Peace a day and 14 pages a day of The Magic Mountain. Well, in a video I did a couple days, well, it might have been last week, I timed how fast I read. And I read 14 pages an hour of The Magic Mountain and 21 pages an hour of War and Peace. So if I have 2 hours a day, I could get these books done in the month of December and start fresh because I have 2 read-alongs happening in January. So I just thought, isn't that hilarious? Like, who would have said, you have to read 14 pages a day? And when I timed myself the other day, it was 14 pages an hour. How does that even happen? Anyway, I hope everybody's having a wonderful weekend. It is beautiful here. I hear we're supposed to be getting bad weather in Ohio tomorrow and Monday, Tuesday. But yeah, we can't complain today for sure. Anyway, I'd love to know what you guys are reading. If you have any thoughts on any of these books. I'm really hoping for next year for my monthly books. How I like to do it is I like to have a book that's like historical fiction or classic. I like to have a one that's either inspirational or about health, healthy eating, or self-help or something like that. And I like to have entertainment. And sometimes even like young adult I'll throw in there because my niece, she just turned 13. And I like to read some of the books that she's reading too, to be like, just something to talk about with her. And yeah, I don't know about BookTube. I'm sure I know there's a lot of people who read young adult, but I don't know if there's a lot of young people because, I mean, like young people. I don't know. Uh, anyway, I hope you guys have a great weekend. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.